Okay, so in this presentation, we'll be talking about clarifying your vision, clarifying your vision. So clarifying your vision and building a brand of substance. So when we talk about building a brand, what exactly are we talking about today when we talk about building a brand? So when we talk about building a brand, we're not just talking about posting on social media, or we're not just talking about printing our logo on different items. So when we talk about building a brand today, what we're talking about is actually building a legacy. So we're trying to build a really strong legacy and reputation that people would love and admire. So your brand is your company's most valuable assets because it's what really helps to differentiate your company from all the others. So it's what really allows you to create that emotional connection with people. So your brand is one of your company's most valuable assets. So it's really important to make sure that it's being held up at a higher standard. So when it comes to building a brand, it's a much longer term thing. It takes lots of time, it takes lots of effort, it takes lots of commitments. But it all starts by laying down the foundation. So before you begin building your brand, you have to first lay down the foundation and really define what your brand is all about at its core. And that's what we'll be talking about in this presentation is really clarifying your vision and really defining what your brand is all about before you begin building. Okay, so in this presentation, you're going to learn about why it's crucial to build a brand of substance. So what does brand substance mean and why is it so important? Secondly, I'll be revealing some of the common misconceptions that people have about brand substance. So what are some of the common misconceptions that a lot of people may have so that we can clarify? And then we're also going to learn about what makes these strong purpose statements, what makes a strong vision statement, what makes a strong mission statements. So whether you're a business owner or a nonprofit, this presentation will really help you to determine the right purpose statements, the right vision statements, how to tell if it's effective. And also, I'll be sharing with you the difference between a mission and a vision because a lot of people get these confused. So what's the difference between a mission and a vision? And how is everything related? And then I would also be sharing with you some really inspirational examples of effective purpose, vision, and mission statements from leading edge companies to inspire your own. Okay, I've been looking forward to this presentation. I hope you have been as well. We're gonna dive right in and then we'll go into the Q&A. Okay, so the first question is, what exactly is brand substance? So when we talk about brand substance, what exactly does that mean? So your brand substance, it's also sometimes called your brand essence or your brand's core. So your brand substance is all about defining the core essence of your brand. So before you begin building, you have to first take a moment to define what you're going to be all about as a company, what's your company all about. Some people call it your story, but so there are different names that people call it. But basically, at this point, we're just trying to define what are we going to stand for? What are we all about? What's our vision for this company before we begin building? So your brand substance, it could be seen as the bridge between your brand strategy and your business strategy. So whether you hire a brand strategist or a business strategist, at some points they're going to help you to develop your mission statements, your vision statements, and really define what your company is all about. So this is where brand strategy and business strategy intersect because your brand substance, it really helps to influence how your business operates internally and how it's perceived externally. So your brand substance, it can also be seen as your brand's unique qualities. So what are the distinct qualities that make your brand authentic, that make your brand uniquely valuable? So we need to really take the time to really define what these qualities are before we begin building. It could also be seen as your brand's DNA. So if your brand was a person, then your brand substance will be the DNA because it really helps to shape how your brand is perceived externally. It really helps to shape how your brand behaves. And there has to be certain qualities that really make your brand different and that really make your brand stand out so that you can really, really connect with people at a much higher level. So if your brand was a person, then your brand substance could be seen as your brand's DNA. Or if your brand was a tree, then your brand substance could be seen as the roots because at this point, we're trying to lay down a really strong foundation that our brand can be built on. So we're trying to really establish that foundation before we begin building. Okay, so now that we're clear about what brand substance is, why is it so important to have brand substance? Or why is it so important to have a brand of substance that people admire? So I'm going to share with you a statistic. So according to a recent survey, 77% of consumers see that they have stronger emotional bonds to purpose-driven companies. So 77%, that's a staggering statistic because it really reveals how purpose is so crucial today because nowadays consumers are looking for more meaning behind the brands that they buy from. They're much more savvy, especially these younger consumers. They're much more savvy. They want to know how your company operates. They're looking for transparency. They want to know how your products are made. They want to know what you're all about as a business. So when it comes to creating that emotional connection with people, your brand, it needs to be seen as much more authentic. It needs to be driven by purpose over profits. So there has to be a deeper meaning behind what your brand is all about. And that would really help you to connect with people at a much higher level. So this is according to a recent study by Cohn Porter Novelli. So 77% of consumers say they have stronger emotional bonds to purpose-driven companies. Okay, so the first statistic focuses on how customers perceive you and connecting with customers. The second statistic focuses on how your company operates. So according to another study by Deloitte, purpose-driven companies have 30% higher levels of innovation and 40% higher levels of employee retention. So that's another staggering statistic because it really reveals how when you have a brand that's driven by purpose over profit, that really helps to inspire new levels of innovation. It really helps to attract the right people who want to participate in that vision. And this really leads to higher levels of employee retention because employee retention is a huge issue that a lot of companies struggle with. And a lot of employees are switching jobs today. So there has to be a way to attract them. There has to be a core vision behind the company that would really help to attract them and inspire them so that they feel motivated to work with you. So that's why brand substance is so important. But how about for your business? So why is brand substance so important for your business? Why is brand substance so important for your own business? So the fact of the matter is, too many companies lack substance. Too many companies lack authenticity. So nowadays, when it comes to building that trust among consumers, you have to work extra hard because a lot of these customers, they have been disappointed in the past. They have been scammed in the past. They have been burnt in the past. So your brand, you have to work extra hard to make your brand much more trustworthy. And that would really help you to stand out from all the others. And also, when you have a clearly defined brand, then that would really serve as a strategic filter for your business. Because when you're in business, you're going to have to make a lot of very difficult decisions. You're going to have to make decisions that question who you are as a company. You're going to have to make decisions that questions your integrity and what you're all about. So you need to really decide on the kind of company you're going to be. What are you all about? And by defining who you are as a company, that would really help to influence a lot of the decision making. So it would help to determine the right people to hire, the right people to partner with that align with your mission, your values. So it really acts as a strategic filter to influence a lot of the decision making inside your company. So that way you're not just driven by profit, but you also have a higher purpose behind your company. And also, when it comes to attracting talent, when it comes to attracting supporters, funding, partnerships, all these things are influenced by your brand's substance. So when you have a clearly defined brand, when you have a clear mission and vision that's really strong and effective, that would really help you to attract the right talents, more supporters who are passionate about the same thing and also for attracting funding, it would really help to attract funding when you have a strong brand that really have a strong perception, that have a high level of integrity, and especially if you're a nonprofit. So if you're a nonprofit, for example, and you're trying to get grants, a lot of these organizations, they would need to know what's your mission, what's your vision, what are you all about? So when it comes to attracting funding, that this really plays a huge role. And also for partnerships, because you would need to partner with people that really align with what your brand is all about, that align with your core values, your mission. So that's why it's so important. And also just building a brand of integrity. So when you're able to really build a brand of integrity, that would really help to hold your brand up at a higher standard and really set your brand apart from the competition. And also internally. So when you have a clearly defined brand, when you have a clear mission, a clear vision, and clearly defined values, that would really help to enhance your internal culture. That's for example, if you're a larger company, you have employees, you have stakeholders. How do you make sure that everyone is on the same page, everyone is aligned? So when you have a clearly defined brand, it would help to create synergy because you're aligning everyone around the same vision and everyone values the same things. Okay. Okay, so now that we understand why it's so important, here are some common misconceptions that people have about brand substance. Here are some common misconceptions that people may have. So a lot of people think that brand substance is just a bunch of marketing gimmicks. So when we talk about crafting a vision and a mission for a company, it's very different from your tagline. So we're not just talking about taglines, we're not talking about slogans. We're talking about laying down the foundation for growth inside your business. So these statements, they're not just marketing gimmicks, they're a really crucial part of your overall strategy that really help to influence different areas of your business as well. So it's a really important decision that you're making when you're deciding on your vision. And also, a lot of people think that purpose statements are only meant for nonprofits. But the truth is, whether you don't have to be a nonprofit because there are lots of for-profit companies that have really strong purpose statements, and we're going to talk about them in more detail down the road in this presentation. Also, a lot of people think that vision and mission statements are for big brands. But the truth is, you don't have to be Coca-Cola. You don't have to be a big brand. You could even be a one-person company to have a vision and mission. So you just need to have big dreams. So even if you're a small company, as long as you have big dreams, you should definitely have a strong vision for where you're looking to take your company. And lastly, a lot of people think that brand substance is static. So they see it, for example, they see a mission statement as something that you just write and then it just goes in the closet somewhere and you forget about it till someone asks you for it. So your mission statements, your vision statements, the founding documents, all these things are really crucial aspects of how your company operates. They really help to influence how your company operates. So it's not something that's just static. It needs to actually run through your business and it has to evolve with your business over time. So your brand substance or your brand's essence, it needs to evolve with your business over time. And it has to be expressed in a more meaningful way. It has to run through every aspect of the business so that there's synergy in everything that you do. Okay. Okay. So just so we have a clear idea of why it's so important, here's a popular quote. So when you're surrounded by people who share a passionate commitment around a common purpose, anything is possible. So this quote, it really emphasizes the importance of having a clearly defined brand, a clearly defined purpose, mission. And so when everyone is committed, everyone is on the same page, that would really help to improve performance inside your business. So this is a common quote by Howard Schultz from Starbucks, the former CEO. So when you're surrounded by people who share a passionate commitment, everything is possible. So the three key words in this quote are passionate, commitment, and purpose. So let's start with passionate. So when we talk about passionate, we're talking about aligning your business with your personal passions. So when you're able to align your business with your personal passions, that would really help to motivate you so that there's a stronger sense of commitment. And when you're committed to what you do, and when your whole team is committed, that would really help to improve performance inside your company and really set you up for growth. And lastly, purpose. We'll talk about purpose in more detail. So when you align your team around a common purpose, that would really help to elevate your brand to new heights as well. Okay, so now that we understand the importance of brand substance, let's talk about the three essential components. So there are different components that make up your brand's core or your brand substance, but these are in this presentation, with the time we have, I'll just be sharing with you three essential components in detail. Okay, so the first essential component is your purpose, your why. Why are you in business? The second essential component is your vision, the what. So what is your vision? And the third essential component is your mission, the how. So let's talk about these three essential components in more detail, starting with purpose. So when we talk about purpose in the context of branding, what exactly are we talking about? When we talk about purpose, so when we talk about purpose, what we're referring to is the reason why our company exists. So there has to be a deeper meaning behind why your brand exists beyond just making money. There has to be a deeper meaning behind it. So why do you wake up and go to work in the morning? There has to be a deeper meaning behind it. So at this point, we're trying to align our business with our personal passions, our personal purpose. So why does your brand exist? What are some of the things that you feel very strongly about? So it's more about understanding the role that your brand plays in your industry or in the world. So what is the unique role that you play? Why does your brand exist? So by really identifying your core purpose, that would really elevate your brand so that it has a much more meaning behind it, not just for you, but also your team as well. So when it comes to your purpose statements, it's quite similar to your mission, but it has to be beyond commercial gain. So your purpose statement, it has to be beyond commercial gain. There has to be a higher purpose behind why your business exists and the role that it plays in the world. So what are you contributing to humanity? So let's say, for example, in the future, what do you want your brand to be known for in the future? What kind of legacy are you trying to leave? These are really crucial questions that need to be answered before we begin building. So when it comes to your purpose statements, it can be emotional, spiritual, or philosophical, depending on how you want to approach it. It could also be all three, emotional, spiritual, or philosophical. So there has to be a deeper meaning behind why your brand exists or why you do what you do. And also it has to be inspiring. So when it comes to your brand's purpose statement, it needs to inspire not just you, but also your team and your stakeholders and anyone who hears it. So if you tell other people your purpose, it needs to light them up. It has to be inspiring. There has to be that spark, and that would really help to elevate your brand's perception in people's mind. So it needs to inspire you, and it needs to inspire all the people involved as well. So when you're able to unite people around a certain purpose, that would really help to improve performance because you will feel much more motivated because you're clear about why you do what you do. Because when you're in business, a lot of times things might get very difficult. There might be some very hard times. There might be times where you feel like it's not gonna work. There might be times when you feel like it's not gonna work. Even with Starbucks, at first they weren't very profitable. So a lot of businesses, they're not very profitable at first. So sometimes it might seem like it's not gonna work. But if you hold on to your purpose and your vision, that would really help to motivate you to keep pushing forward, even though money might be limited, even though there might not be that many customers at first. It would really help to motivate you to keep pushing forward. So it needs to be inspiring. Okay. So what does it take to craft a strong purpose? What does it take to find your brand's purpose, to uncover your brand's purpose? So when it comes to uncovering your brand's purpose, it takes a lot of self-reflection and discovery. So you need to really take the time to really reflect on who you are as a person, why you're in business, and why you chose this industry. So at this point, we're trying to align our brand with who we are. So you need to really take some time to really reflect on who you are, on who you are and the impact that you're trying to make in the world. And also, it requires a really strong sense of commitment. So when you have a strong sense of commitment, you can now ask yourself, what drives me? What motivates me? And then based on that, you can now uncover the core purpose behind what motivates you to be in this business. And also, you have to be willing to think bigger because we live in a world that's changing very fast, it's becoming very complicated. So you have to be willing to think much more broadly about your brand. You shouldn't be narrow-minded. You have to be willing to think much more broadly about your brand and the impact that you're trying to make in the world. So, like I said, the world is changing really fast. So, by having a deeper understanding of how the world is changing, you can now determine the role that your brand plays in the world. So, for example, do you want to be a leader or are you trying to challenge the leader? What's your point of view on different things? What is your stance on different societal issues? So, by understanding how the world is changing, you can now craft a purpose that really clarifies the role that your brand plays in the world. And also, it requires a deeper understanding of what people value. So it requires a deeper understanding of what people value. So when you align your brand's purpose with what your customers value, then that would really help you to create a much more emotional connection with them because customers, they love to buy from brands that align with their personal values. So through self-reflection and discovery, by having a really strong sense of commitment, by really thinking much more broadly about your brand and outside of the box, by having a deeper understanding of how the world is changing and what customers value, you can now uncover your brand's true purpose. Okay, so here's some inspirational examples of brand purpose. Here are some inspirational examples. So one example is by Sony. So to those who don't know, Sony is a technology company. So Sony's purpose statement is to fill the world with emotion through the power of creativity and technology. So this purpose statement, it might seem very simple, but it's actually very powerful because it flows through every aspect of their business. It can be seen in how they approach innovation, how they approach marketing, their internal culture. So everything needs to align with their purpose and what they're all about. Because Sony, they're really well known for creativity. So they're all about unleashing creativity and using technology to enrich people's lives. So this really helps to elevate their brand so that it becomes much more meaningful. Another example of brand purpose is by Starbucks. So Starbucks' purpose is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. So through this purpose statement, you can see that it's not just about coffee. So there has to be a deeper meaning behind what they do because it's more about community. It's more about nurturing the community, bringing people together. So this really helps them to create a much more emotional connection with people. And this purpose statement, it could be reflected through everything that they do. It helps to influence their internal culture, how they train their staff. So it helps to influence almost every aspect of their business. Okay, another example is by Tesla. So Tesla's purpose statement is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So through this purpose statement, they're positioning their brands as leaders because they have a clearer picture of how the world is changing, and they're positioning themselves as leaders in sustainability. So through this purpose statements, they're creating a much more high-end perception of their company because they want to be seen as more innovative, more forward-thinking. It also helps them to appeal to these technology enthusiasts who are passionate about sustainability. So by crafting a purpose statement that revolves around sustainability, that really helps them to attract more of the right people who are also passionate about sustainability. It helps to influence every aspect of their business, from their product releases to their innovations to R&D. It helps to influence almost everything. Okay, so so here's another quote. So chase the vision, not the money. The money will end up following you. So this is another famous quote by the CEO of Zappos. So chase the vision, not the money. The money will end up following you. So this quote really emphasizes the importance of having a clearly defined brand, of really uncovering your vision, your purpose, because it's not just about pushing products and services. We need to have a deeper, a bigger vision behind our business and the impact that we're trying to make in the world. And then the money will follow. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about vision in more detail. So when we talk about clarifying your vision, what exactly are we talking about? What is a vision statement? So your vision refers to what exactly is your brand looking to achieve. So it's your what. So what exactly are you looking to achieve? What's the future vision? So when it comes to your vision statements, it needs to be easy to recall. It needs to be easy to repeat. So if you have a team, then they need to be able to articulate the vision so that everyone is on the same page. It also needs to be clear and concise. So it shouldn't be too vague. It shouldn't be too broad. So it needs to be clear and concise. And also, your vision statement is much longer term focused. It can also be indefinite. So it doesn't have to have like a fixed date where you're going to reach the vision. It could be as long as possible. It just needs to be clear and concise and something that's going to inspire and bring more clarity so that everyone is on the same page. Okay, and on the other hand, we also need to align our mission with our vision. So after we've clarified our vision, we now really need to align our mission with that vision. So our mission statement refers to how we would achieve that vision. So it's the how. So our purpose statement is the why. Our vision is the what, and our mission is the how. How would you achieve that vision? So the key is alignment. Okay, so when it comes to your mission statement, it needs to be clear and specific. It shouldn't be too vague. It needs to be clear and specific. So there has to be a specific mission that your company is on so that everyone is on the same page. And also, it needs to be measurable. So your mission statement, there has to be a way to measure the impact that your company is making. Also, it needs to be realistic. So if your mission is to bring back dinosaurs, then it's probably not very realistic. So it needs to be something that's realistic and it needs to really align with your vision. And also, your mission is much more customer focused. So it needs to convey a benefit to the customer. So by clarifying your vision and aligning your mission, you can now have a brand that's much more clearly defined. So for some companies, their purpose and mission is the same thing. So for example, Nike, their purpose and mission is the same thing. But you don't have to approach it that way. Sometimes you could have a separate purpose, a separate vision, and a separate mission. But the truth is that your purpose statements, it cannot be commercially focused, but your mission statement can be commercial where your purpose statements cannot. So that's the main difference. Okay, so let's look at some inspirational examples of mission statements and vision statements. So one example is Slack. So to those who don't know, Slack is a technology company that's focused on collaboration. So Slack's vision is a world where organizations can achieve agility easily no matter the size. And they hope to achieve this vision by making people's working life simpler, more pleasant, and more productive. So you can see how their mission and vision is aligned. And if you looked into them, you would see that their mission and vision is being reflected through everything that they do. Even how they approach design, their visual identity, everything aligns with their mission and vision. So, for example, they even have a workflow builder that allows people to automate certain tasks. So that really helps to enhance productivity and improve work-life balance. They even have Slack Connects that allows organizations to collaborate with external partners. So this really helps to make collaboration much more seamless. So everything needs to align with their mission and their vision. Okay, so another example is Sweet Green. So to those who don't know, Sweet Green is a fast casual restaurant. So their vision is to evolve from a restaurant company to a food platform that builds healthier communities around the world. So based on this vision, you can see that it's beyond just taking orders. They have a bigger vision behind it. And they hope to achieve this vision by building healthier communities, by connecting people to real food. So you could see how their vision and mission is both aligned, and you can see how it's being reflected through everything that they do. So, for example, the design of their restaurants reflects their vision because it's all about redefining fast food, the healthy experience. They use lots of eco-friendly designs and practices. They even partner with local farmers to ensure that their ingredients are being made in a sustainable way. So you can see how their vision and mission, you can see how everything is aligned with what they're all about and who they are as a company. Okay. Another example is by CARE. So CARE is a nonprofit. So if you have a nonprofit, then this should be very inspirational. So CARE's vision is a world of hope, inclusion, and social justice, where poverty has been overcome and all people live with dignity and security. And they hope to achieve this vision by working around the globe to save lives, defeat poverty, and achieve social justice. So you can see how their vision and mission is aligned. So whether your vision can be accomplished is debatable. But that doesn't really matter because as long as you have the vision, so your vision, it doesn't even have to have like a fixed date where you can accomplish it. It just needs to communicate that you're working towards a greater good. There has to be like a higher vision behind what you do that you're working towards, even if you may never even get there. But there has to be a vision behind what you do. And you can see how this is reflected
Hello?
through everything. So for example, they have these innovative programs that really align with their mission and vision. Even their response to the Syrian crisis, that really reflects their mission and vision. They even have care packages that provide people with food supplies and hygiene. So everything aligns with their mission and vision. Okay. So here are some other components of brand substance. So some other components that could be included are your core values. So your core values are still crucial, even though we didn't talk about it in as much detail in this presentation. But your core values are so crucial because it's really important to define what are the things that you feel strongly about. So it's more about taking a stand about the things that you value the most inside your company. So when you have clearly stated core values, that would really help to influence your internal company culture and how your company operates. So even if you leave your company would still be able to operate by itself because it has these set of core values that everyone follows. And also your philosophy. So your philosophy is similar to your core values, but it's much more broad. So your philosophy, it could also be seen as your point of view. So by having a distinct philosophy, that would really help to set your brand apart from the competition. So your philosophy, it could be, for example, your philosophy on how to approach customer service. Maybe it's your point of view on how things should be done in your industry. It could be your philosophy on how you approach design. It could be your philosophy on how to approach innovation. Everything needs to align with your philosophy. So when you have your own distinct philosophy, that would really help to differentiate your brand from all the others because you have a unique approach, your own point of view of doing things and also your manifesto. So manifestos were really popular in art and in politics, but nowadays a lot of companies are starting to use manifestos. Some companies even replace their mission statements with a manifesto. So some may even ditch their mission statements and get a manifesto instead. So to those who don't know, your manifesto, it just refers to, it's like a published declaration of the views, intentions, and of your company and the things that you feel very strongly about. So it's a published declaration of your views, your intentions, the things that you value the most. So your brand's manifesto, one good example is the Apple manifesto. So that really helps to elevate your brand to a higher standard. So when you have a manifesto, that will really help to elevate your brand so that it becomes more like a global movement that's changing the world for the better. So that would really help to elevate your brand to a new level. Okay. Okay, so here are some final thoughts. So when it comes to your defining your brand's essence, your brand's substance, one thing to keep in mind is that it's not just about the statements, it's about how the statements are being expressed because a lot of people they might not even remember your mission statements or your vision statements. So what people are going to remember is how these statements were being expressed through everything that you did from your marketing to your product releases, to how you approach innovation, through your customer service. So what people remember is how these statements were being expressed. Did you stay true to these statements? Were they being expressed in a more meaningful way? So when you're coming up with these statements, it's always important to think about how can I express the brand in a more meaningful and authentic way. And also, it's not just about products and services, it's more about the impact that we're trying to make. So how can you showcase your impact and how can you amplify the impacts that your brand is making in the world so that way people remember your brand for years to come. So it's more about building that legacy. And lastly, we need to have the audacity to dream much more broadly. We have to think bigger. We have to dream bigger without any limitations. Even if you may not have that much of a budget or that much money, or even if you have a small team, You shouldn't let anything hold you back. You have to be willing to think much more broadly about your brand and where you're looking to take it. Okay, so here are the final quotes that I would like to leave you all with. So, being the richest man in the cemetery doesn't matter to me. Going to bed at night, seeing we've done something wonderful, that's what matters. So, this is a popular quote by Steve Jobs. So, what he's trying to say is that although it's good to make lots of money, but that's not what really matters. What really matters is the legacy that you're leaving, the legacy that you're building, because at the end of the day, we want to be remembered. We want people to remember our company and the impact that we've made in the world. So it's much more broad, it's much deeper than just making money. We have to be able to make an impact, to leave a footprint in the world so people remember us for years to come. And that's what it's all about. Okay. So I hope you found this presentation inspiring. Let's dive into the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put your hands up in the chat and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Participants? Feel free to put your hands up. Okay, so I see Jason Ade. Jason Ade.
Can I ask sorry. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, what's your thought on changing your company logo after using one for several years?
I can't hear you. Can you repeat that more clearly?
What company one for many years?
Okay, you're very muffled. I can barely hear you. So can you just put your message in the chat and then I would answer it out loud? Can you type it into the chat?
Can I speak while he's
Yeah,
trying
sure.
to? This is Sanaya Jones. And so my question, it's not really a question. You were talking about, it's a very good presentation. So you were talking about the mission, and I am the owner of Peaceful Solutions LLC, a mediation and conflict resolution training business. And so my mission statement is very simple. It's resolving conflict peacefully. And I wanted to make it simple, just like Nike, just do it. Nike's mission is just do it. Everybody knows when they see just do it, they know that's Nike. So I wanted to reflect something simple by just saying resolving conflict peacefully. I don't see that it's measurable. So that was my question, I guess. How is my mission statement, or how can I make my mission statement measurable? Because it's just something simple, resolving conflict peacefully.
Okay, so first we need to clarify on what the mission statement is. Okay, so you were comparing it to Nike's Just Do It, but Nike's Just Do It is actually a tagline, so that's very different from a mission statement. So Nike's mission statement is actually to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world, something along those lines. So your mission statement is very different from your tagline, and it should be seen as very different because if you see it as the same thing, then it's going to be hard to develop an effective mission statement. So your tagline is something short, something catchy for marketing, but your mission statement is more focused on who you are as a company and how you're trying to achieve your vision.